Well, get this latest one. I know you heard about it, the EPA trying to regulate, I guess, fireplaces, wood burning stoves, last winter in Utah and that type of stuff on all over the place. And also, there was even talk about regulating outdoor barbecues. Now, this new thing is the EPA grants itself power to regulate ponds, ditches, and puddles, which is basically, anything that's even like an isolated wetland, quote unquote, any place. And this is really what's going on here. It's not even like the government's dreaming this up per se. This is being pushed by it's always pushed by money behind the scenes. Non-governmental organizations, NGOs. It's basically a push towards communism, totalitarianism, whatever the hell it is. So if there's a puddle or any place that collects water, it's going to basically be under the waters. It's new policy, Waters of the United States, WOTUS rule. It says it can regulate any of these waterways, period. And, like I said, it's not even the government itself that's dreaming up this crap. It's money behind the scenes. It's almost like, another analogy even is the FDA, with the medical people, right? Does the FDA has its rules, but who's really the big push behind getting any kind of competition for standard medicine? What's the deal? Why is that? Why is there such, why do they get so bent out of shape about some of that stuff? It's because there's big money involved. Big money involved, right? I mean, yeah, you got to have some kind of rules. You got to have, standards and protection of the public. You have to have, management of our resources and things like that. You have to have to overwatch our health care and things up to a point. But then again, it gets overhanded. It gets heavy-handed, I guess. Overdone. So basically, this is the new latest thing. So basically, they granted themselves the power to regulate waterways previously not under federal jurisdiction, including puddles, ditches, isolated wetlands, and anything out there, basically. Anything that collects water. Ponds, any little pond you might have on your own property. Anything, anywhere, as long as it's in the... see, basically, the Communist Party, what disappeared? Do you think it disappeared? Basically, and I'm not against environmental, taking care of the environment, so, I mean, some people will get all bent shape out of that, but it's like... It's become now, it's like negating private property rights, which negates the power of the individual to stand on their own 2 feet. So it's not like we the people are the ones that control the government. It's like the elite control the government, the big money, which goes along with everything. It's not just the EPA, it's the whole 9 yards. It's, the Energy, Department of Energy, it's the FDA, it's the whole damn thing. It's the whole damn thing. So any place that collects water, whether it be it on your private residence or whatever, can be under the regulation of the EPA. And who the hell knows what kind of freaking crazy numbers they can say, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. And, they could just be stealing everybody's freaking property over freaking bullshit. That's it just goes step by step by step. And, the only way to fight him is actually to fight him. That's about it, man. There's no choice about it. None. There is no choice. None. Nada. No cute talk will will change this deal. Because basically, I could have to say it again. It's not exactly the government that's doing it per se. Yeah, you see it's the government. You see, that's the end product or whatever. That's the one that's actually making the rule. But what's the force behind the real policy changes? It's the NGOs. It's the big think tanks. That's what I talked about. Even a lot of these rich bastards, they always give money to charity, and they got all these foundations for charity. It's usually to influence some big policy that they want, which is actually affects their power and pocketbook. They don't give shit to charity, man. It's all the guys. Almost all of them are like that. So this is another dangerous rule that's out there. Just don't want to, just talk about it too much, but just make you aware it's brand new. So it's something the EPA released. Its new interpretation on what they can regulate. It's weird, I mean, who the hell, I mean, hey, our powers are boundary. EPA is actually an unconstitutional organization in the first place, early. You might think it's necessary, but then again, it's like, God, I mean, can you imagine if we didn't have a constitution or a Bill of Rights? We'd really be screwed, right? We'd really be screwed. So, but like I said, it's not exactly the government that's doing all this. It's the money that controls the government. It's the big bucks. Just like, the government doesn't really just think of out of its top of its head, like, yeah, I want to regulate this and that and all this kind of, yeah, it's like big money's got a racket. If they got a racket in something, and this actually is communism here when you're talking about the EPA regulating every freaking aspect of private property. It's beyond ridiculous. But yeah, when they regulate, even every aspect of medicine too. I mean, you could say any nutrient could be a medicine. You could regulate that. There's no limit to how far they can interpret these things. Till they find out, well, actually, people just aren't fighting back. I mean, that's the problem. And but at least you got to be aware of what's going on. And I don't want to make this like a negative video because this is like unbelievable. It's like every day getting bombarded with some new bullshit. But it's another thing they're doing, man. Fireplaces, wood burning stoves, outdoor barbecues now, ponds in your backyard, puddles and ditches, and anything that could be an isolated wetland or whatever the hell that could be. It could be basically anything. So, more bad news. Sorry, man. I'm trying not to freaking give you bad news like in a bad way all the time, but I definitely don't try to display anything in a bad way. But it's like, man, I don't know what the hell to tell you about this crap. It's mind-boggling. So, but I guess the only twist I'm giving you on here that's a little different from the rest of the people is like, it's not really like the government's, brainstorming to do this shit. There's other people behind the scenes that are trying to influence policy of the government, think tanks, non-governmental organizations. Usually, that's where these rich bastards put all their money for charity. Cute, right? So they can influence the policy of the government to freaking screw everybody's rights over, right? It's getting ridiculous, man. Really. Beyond ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, freaking water just recycles, man. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, and, I can also tell you that there's more water beneath the oceans. A lot of scientists say that. Beneath the oceans in the transition layer between the Earth's crust and the Earth's mantle. Like, for instance, they say that there's an ocean larger than the Arctic Ocean that's actually below the landmass of China. Not like a liquid ocean, but basically enough water below the actual Earth's crust going down many miles, but, above the mantle in that transition zone where it's almost like a solid rocky sponge. Basically, it's a mixture of water and rock, where there's as much water as the Arctic Ocean. There's plenty of water that actually comes up from the Earth itself. We got aquifers that are coming up even from the pressure of the ocean along the coast. If you go in maybe just a few miles, that salt water is actually desalinated through all the sandy soil it's got to go through, and you have aquifers within 20 miles of every coastline everywhere in the United States. So there's really no water shortage. That's another thing these guys are probably freaking trying to say. And actually, if there's a water shortage being created, probably it's more through fracking. So the hell can I tell you, man? Anyway, I don't know. Just trying to inform people without scaring them or putting them down in the dumps. But I don't know. This is pretty damn bad shit. That's all I gotta tell you. That's all I gotta say about it. It is pretty bad.